finish your exams now. So continue with our discussions based on Bhagavad Gita, certain themes. The topic today is intelligence. Real intelligence is spiritual intelligence. How is that we look at? So now, first of all, a definition of intelligence. We are looking at Merriam-Webster dictionary. The ability to learn or understand things. The light is reflecting. The ability to learn or understand things or to deal with new or difficult situations. This is intelligence. How we can solve a problem, how we can use our resources to overcome some difficulty. This is intelligence. So human beings are supposed to be having higher intelligence because we can build a house, we can solve our food problem, but animals cannot do that. They're given little intelligence to satisfy their desires, but it's not so much. So among people also there's gradation of intelligence. Some people are more intelligent than others, some are less, some are good at sports, everyone's different. So one has to go through life in such a way we are encouraged that intelligently, have you heard that saying, work smarter, not harder? We have to observe things and work and not go through like an animal, just not seeing the situation and trying to make it easy. People have made a test for intelligence, IQ, intelligence quotient. So they have certain questions and you answer. And if you get a high IQ, great, high IQ person, high intelligence. And generally people like it. If someone's intelligent or high IQ, is considered something good, some elevated person. But actually what do we use intelligence for nowadays? Simply getting more money, more position, more wealth. That's what we're using it for. Anyway, some people have high intelligence, whatever they do with it. Has anyone heard of an organization called Mensa? No? It's a society of high IQ people. Those who have a very high IQ, they are members of that. You have to do the test, you get a high score, so you'll become a member of Mensa. Mensa means in Spanish, table. Like means they all have to sit at the table and solve the problems of human society. So Mensa. Who is known as an intelligent person now? They say that Einstein was very intelligent. Actually he had a big brain. So yeah, and then they say that okay, Europeans were ruling the world, they're intelligent. Well, before that Romans, Greeks, even Indians. Japanese make amazing technology, they're very intelligent, Chinese are intelligent. Everyone has a different definition of intelligent. Because people can manipulate the material energy and come up with something in a certain way, they're called intelligent. Okay, now, what is the purpose of intelligence? Because human beings are given high intelligence. According to Srila Prabhupada, he mentions, well, his opinions are based on the Vedas, that all living entities are given some intelligence for ahara, bhaya, nidra, maithulya. Eating, sleeping, sex and defense. For these four things, all living entities are given some intelligence. But humans are given higher intelligence, much more than is needed for those four necessities. Why? Because there was a purpose to human life. Human life was supposed to be for higher inquiry. You see, I have hands, and with hands I can hold a book. I can hold Shastra, and I can read Shastra and understand it. Animals cannot. Animals cannot hold a book. They don't have the hands. Some animals have, but then they not understand. The purpose of human intelligence, high-end human intelligence, was to come to higher spiritual consciousness, self-realization. Now we've used it to build cities and worldwide companies, and okay, fine. That's not even wrong, but we ignored what it was meant for. That higher intelligence that we are endowed with. There's a quote here of Srila Prabhupada that he spoke in a lecture on Bhagavad Gita in America, New Vrindavan, 1976. And he says, yes, intelligence. After destroying the wood, you may use your intelligence to construct a house. You have intelligence, there's no doubt. Human being must have intelligence, but that intelligence is given to him for getting out of the clutches of birth, death, old age and disease. He is not utilizing that intelligence for that purpose. Therefore, dushkritinai, intelligence he has got. We don't say that modern world, they are unintelligent fools. No, they have got intelligence. But the intelligence is being utilized for dushkarya, which means wrong activities. Karya and dushkarya, work and bad work. His intelligence was given so that he could get relief from the clutches of birth, death, old age and disease, but he's not doing that. He's opening factory, creating another bad atmosphere. To open a factory requires intelligence, so many machines, yes, but how is the intelligence being used? Okay, now a lot of these opinions might be different from what some of you think. Because we are brought up to increase our intelligence, drink milk, or maybe now no one does that, but we were taught, you drink hot milk, you get intelligence, eat almonds, why? So you can get a good job, why? So you can earn money and enjoy. But intelligence has another use. So misuse of intelligence is due to not knowing what is the purpose. So anyway, that is the purpose of intelligence. This is the purpose. Why we are given high intelligence as humans. Now let's analyze the standard, what we call intelligence, as compared and compare it to one who is in yoga with the Supreme Person. In other words, a person who is engaged in bhakti, devotional service, or a person who is attaining self-realization. He is on a spiritual level. So let's look at the context of both of these people operating in this material world. In Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse which explains that there's a hierarchy of senses, mind, intelligence, and the soul. Indriyani parani ahur, which means senses are higher than the normal body. This body is just a body, lump of flesh. But senses, they collect information, knowledge. Therefore, they are higher than the body. Indriyani parani ahur. Indriya bhe param mana. Higher than the senses is the mind, because mind dictates to the senses that you do this, you do that. It's telling the senses what to do. Indriya bhe param mana. Then manasastu para buddhi. Intelligence is higher than the mind, because the intelligence dictates to the mind that, okay, use the senses, I've made a plan how to enjoy, carry it out. So it's supposed to be like that. Indriya bhe paramana manasastu para buddhi yo buddhe paratastu sa. And the soul is higher than the intelligence, because soul possesses intelligence. So this is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. The hierarchy. So the jiva uses intelligence to navigate in this material world. We are all in this material world, and people are navigating, going around and saying, how can I enjoy? And some idea comes. So eyes are see something, it's registering in the mind. The mind contains all the thoughts. So intelligence which is not spiritual, normal intelligence, is motivated just to enjoy. Okay, so intelligence queries the mind and searches the mind for some plan for enjoyment, and then gives order to the mind, okay, use the senses, I want to enjoy like this. Or some information comes through the senses in real time, and then mind is taking it in, and then intelligence makes the plan. So this is how it works. For an intelligence that is not a spiritual one, a normal person, this is the plan, how they want to enjoy. Okay. But now, when we say intelligence, there's something deeper in Bhagavad Gita explaining. Can someone tell me where intelligence is coming from? Yeah.
We talk about material intelligence. It comes from false ego. The feeling that the soul is one with this material entity. This nature
Okay.
comes to the mind and body. So what he thinks of as intelligence is actually the perception of his senses.
No, but then my point is, like, if I query something and then something is processed and something comes back, that intelligence, how does it work? Where does it come from? How is it working? And this is a gray area in our modern science, actually. They say it's the brain, but even then there's some doubt. Anyone has opinion? Okay, now let me tell you what Bhagavad Gita says. You see, just consider it. I'm reading, say, a mathematical problem that I need to solve. So I try to process it. Something is processing it, then I get a result. If I want to say that that's me, then how is it that I'm not immediately processing it? I'm querying. You get it? I'm querying something. In a computer, there's a processor where things are sent to process. So Bhagavad Gita says in chapter 15, text 15, Krishna says, Mata smritim jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes intelligence, knowledge and forgetfulness. Intelligence is given by the super soul which is seated next to us. We are seated in the heart here. Next to us is the super soul, the Paramatma. So the Paramatma is what's giving intelligence. Even this day-to-day intelligence is coming from Paramatma. Some may say, no, intelligence is coming from the brain. However, okay, this is not supported in the Vedic sciences, and I'll give two evidence for this, why this is not valid. One is when someone is brain dead, his brain doesn't function clinically, but he's still alive. That's called a coma. But when he wakes up, he said, yes, I heard everyone, you were saying this, he was saying that. This is it happens a lot. Another is something called OBE. Who has heard of out-of-body experience? Have you heard of that? You heard? How many heard of it? Out-of-body experience? So I'll tell you what happens. Sometimes someone has accident and is about to die. His body is lying. He's on the verge. Then they're pressing the heart, medical and all that. And he comes up like that and he's looking at his body from the sky. And later he says, look, I said you said that, he brought this. No, how can that be? You hit your head too hard on the road. I don't think anything happened like that. So it could be like an accident, or it could be someone being operated in the theater, operation theater. That also, sometimes that happens. That's called an OB, out-of-body experience. It's documented a lot, but somehow scientists don't want to comment on it because they don't have a clue what's happening. And it won't support their current theory, which is intelligence is coming from the brain. But the brain is right there on the body, and I'm out of the body watching it. So how do you explain that? Well, actually that's the subtle body, but that's a deeper topic. So my point is that where is intelligence coming from? Bhagavad Gita explains that intelligence comes from the super soul, the Paramatma, which is lying next to us here. But for a normal person who is in this material world and functioning on a material level, that means everyday life, we will only get that much intelligence which is within our karma. Therefore, there are levels of intelligence someone has. One is according to age, But other is karmic level. Some are given much higher intelligence than others due to past life experiences. And one in sattva gun has more intelligence. Sattvam sanjayate jnanam. So this is according to karma. But then a person who is practicing spiritual life, who is in yoga, and I'm using the word yoga as in the original sense of the Sanskrit term. Yoga comes from the word yuj. Yuj means combine or link. And yoga means one who is in a state of combine, link with the Supreme Lord. In other words, he is self-realized, he is connected to Krishna. So this is called Krishna consciousness, Krishna bhava, Krishna rasa bhava matihi in Sanskrit. Krishna consciousness, one is linked to Krishna, the heart. So in the state of Krishna consciousness, one's consciousness is linked to the super consciousness of God, of Krishna. He's not simply conscious, he has much greater knowledge and awareness and cognizance of what is going on. In fact, pure devotees are trikalagya. They know past, present and future because of being linked to the one who is all-knowing. Krishna is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as, in the first verse, it's a definition of God is given, and the first is, one of the words is abhigya. Gya means know. Abhigya is an emphasis, all knowing, knowing everything. And it's translated in English as cognizant. Cognizant, one who is aware. So when one is in a state of Krishna consciousness, then he's linked to the super consciousness, and therefore he has access to super intelligence also. He has much deeper capability of intelligence because he's not on material level which is depending on his karma. He's linked to the Supreme, to Krishna, and has all the knowledge that he needs. When Vyasadeva was writing the Vedas, he wrote the whole of Mahabharata, he wrote the Puranas, discussions in Upanishads. For example, Kat Upanishad, Nachiketa is speaking with Yamaraj. A lot of conversations. He was not there. Vyasa was not there. He was not there when all these conversations were taking place in Mahabharata. But he's given that power to see. He could see. In fact, many acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, he spoke many times on topics like World War III. He says how it will start, what will happen. And he said in future what will happen to this movement, in this world, what will happen. Just commented. Even previous acharyas, one of them said that in future the worship of Krishna will go all over the world. And many people were wondering, how can that be? Generally Sanatana Dharma is declining, and why should everyone take this dharma? Then ISKCON came, went all over the world. They set up 800 temples, almost 70 countries in the world. Worship of Krishna is going on, temples are established, people are going out distributing Gita. So, even acharyas or great devotees, when they are linked to the Supreme, their intelligence is not normal material intelligence. It's linked to the Supreme. There's an analogy given here. If someone is riding a bicycle, how fast can you go? Not so fast. Because how fast can a bicycle go? But if he's on his bicycle, and he catches a car, and he goes very fast, beyond his capacity, because he's connected to another source which is going much faster. So in this way, when one comes in a state of yoga, then all knowledge comes. All knowledge. Because Supreme Lord is Sarvagya, and one who's linked to him gets the qualities of Krishna. Krishna has unlimited qualities. Not that we get those unlimited, but we get a drop. But what's a drop of infinity? Practical infinity. So many people knew this, In Vedic culture, they could understand that maybe a sadhu, elevated sadhus and acharyas, they knew everything. So people will come to them for even material things and solving issues. Sanatana Goswami, one of our 6 Goswamis from whom our literature and knowledge came through. It came from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but through them, they wrote the books and everything. Because people could understand that a person who is devoted in devotional service and spiritual level has deeper knowledge on practically anything because he's empowered by God. So, in Mahabharata also we see, practically, we see that Krishna, Arjun was associated with Krishna as a friend. That was Sakhya Ras. We can associate with Krishna in different ways, in different bhav, mood. So he was a devotee of Krishna, but worshipping Krishna as a friend in Sakhya bhav. So even we read in Mahabharata that Arjun, he went through the whole Mahabharata, you see the narration, the history, and even in the battle of Kurukshetra, practically Krishna was guiding everything what to do. Even when they went in Vanvas, what to do, how to live, how to be safe, where to go. And in the battle of Kurukshetra, there's one whole parva describing the battle. Krishna saying what to do, what not to do, how to kill this person. And Krishna says, okay, you kill him, and then his head will go and land on the lap of his father. Because he said, whoever kills him will... Actually, I forgot that narration. What was it? It'll blast in 1,000 pieces. So, you should shoot his head in such a way that it will land on the lap of his father, who is some kilometers away, and land on his lap. And he will get harmed, not the one who shot him. Anyway, Krishna knew everything. He instructed Arjuna step by step how to become safe. So, in this context we can see that even in a material context, a devotee, one who's devoted to Krishna, gets intelligence how to solve issues and go through this material world. This material world is full of perplexities. When Prabhupada was in America, he was finding out many things which were that time not in India. For example, he found out about a psychologist. So then Prabhupada said, psychologist, what is that? Then said, oh Prabhupada, these are people who, when people go through some mental trauma, then they come to them and then they help them to analyze it and overcome the trauma. Then Prabhupada said, but that whole life is a trauma, everything. One thing at a time, we're in trauma all the time. This is material life. We're always getting disturbed. Some serious situation is happening. So, one who is linked to Krishna, even materially is guided in a perfect way how to go through this life. It's not just his intelligence. Because depending on our intelligence, we'll either be safe or will not be safe from things which are happening in this world. But a person who is having that perfect intelligence of link to Krishna, then he has superior guidance. A perfect guidance, what to do now in this situation, every situation. Even in Varnashram previously was there, everyone had duties, and that was called karma. Everyone does their karma. But if everyone did karma yoga, which means they did their duty, but internally renounced it to Krishna and said, whatever is the result of my duty, the result, I will not enjoy it, I'll give it to God, Krishna. And I am doing my duty with a mind that it's given by Krishna that everyone should do their duty. So if they think in that context, then they will do their duty perfectly. Perfect warrior, perfect king, perfect pandit. Pandits, they would see Shastra, Vedas, they could see the mantras, because they were living in that way, surrendered to the Lord. And Kshatriyas, who were living their life as kings, warriors, surrendered to God. They had superior capabilities of ruling. Can you imagine now, even to rule this one city, one little city, this city, So difficult. We don't know what's happening in one corner, and then trash is not being collected somewhere. And somewhere land is being encroached. Now how would you rule a planet? Kings were ruling the planet from Delhi before. We hear in Mahabharata, Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthira, they were ruling the whole planet. They had that capability. So a person who dedicates himself to the service of the Supreme and links, he gets much greater capability than is within his karma. It goes because this is super consciousness. There's a verse where Krishna says in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita that one who is serving me constantly with love, I provide what he lacks and protects what he has. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati niche. No. Ananyas chintayanto mam yojana paripasati. Tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahami aham. Yeah. So this way we see that even materially, what we require, Krishna will provide. If I require higher intelligence because I'm in a very difficult situation, but if my mood is spiritual and devotional, then Krishna provides that. So this is a higher idea of thinking. What we lack, if we lack intelligence, He'll give that also. So we've seen also in ISKCON that, you see, we have all kinds of devotees. So there are some senior devotees in ISKCON who didn't complete class 10 even. But they have written such deep publications that people are marveling how this research was done, and they are putting quotes of Prabhupada to support arguments, and people are wondering that quote is perfect for this, and everything was so perfectly put. So, but they didn't do college, they didn't pass class 10. So Prabhupada explained this point, that especially when it comes to spirituality, it doesn't depend on material abilities and intelligence. So this is due to spiritual intelligence from being connected to the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada himself said this, because we are talking about now spiritual intelligence and normal intelligence. So normal intelligence is our karma, whatever we get and we are solving. Srila Prabhupada said, when a reporter asked him, these are amazing books, people are reading the books and changing, how did you write the books? And Prabhupada didn't think, well, he immediately answered, Krishna is dictating and I'm writing. Then the reporter surprised. Then next to him, Prabhupada's disciple is saying, what he means to say is that because he's a devotee, Krishna is inspiring, and Prabhupada interrupted, no, Krishna is dictating and I'm writing. So Prabhupada said, these are not my books, they were dictated by Krishna. So at a high level, sources of knowledge and ability comes beyond. There are many verses in Gita which are explaining this. When we come to intelligence required for describing anything to do with spirituality, one cannot do it unless they surrender to the Supreme, a pure devotee. We have a publication called Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's written by one of our acharyas, and the narration of how it was written is given within that. It's given that after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had left, a lot of his followers who had not even seen him, who were staying in Vrindavan, they approached one of the more, you can say, scholarly devotees, Kaviraj. His name was Kaviraj because he was so, Kaviraj Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. They told him, please write on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So he said, I'm 90 years old, my hand is shaking, I am old, I cannot even write, I can't even see. What will I write? They told him, please, you do it because you have the capability. He said, no, I don't have. Then it went on like this. Then finally he went to his guru. He went to Raghunath Das Goswami and went to asked permission from the gurus that, look, they're telling me to write this, but I don't have ability. Then his guru told him, you can write it, do it. So he said, okay. So then he went to the deity of Madan Mohan. That time was in Vrindavan, now it's shifted to Karoli in Rajasthan. Then he bowed down at the deity, then the garland of the deity fell on him and everyone was cheering, they could understand he got the mercy. After that he wrote such a beautiful work, non-stop. He put his pen down and it didn't come up. And the place he wrote this book is in Radhakund in Vrindavan in one place. It contains very deep philosophy, but every 2 lines are rhyming in a beautiful poem. The whole book is in a poem, but the philosophy is so deep. It's like a whole summary of Vedic knowledge. So that was empowerment. In this way, spiritual intelligence is deeper than material intelligence. Material intelligence is according to our qualifications. Spiritual intelligence has no limit, practically speaking. In some cases, someone may not be on that level also. I'm not on the level, I'm a devotee, but I'm not level that I'm linked to Krishna. But I require some answers. So the devotional method is, we come before the Lord and we pray that I require these answers. Please inspire me. So at a later time, it can come suddenly in the mind or in a dream or something, and a solution comes. Okay, now we were speaking about the general in daily life, how intelligence and spiritual intelligence are different, the gravity, the depth. Okay. Now, let's see it in a different context. If we see what is the actual reality of this world according to Bhagavad Gita, then we'll get a completely different idea of what is intelligence, what people are saying is intelligence in this world. Okay. Now, people see this world as a place where we can make a plan to live and enjoy and be very comfortable. And the person who can do that very well, he is thought to be very intelligent. If he has a lot of money or wealth, or he's able to manipulate people or situations and get a high position, he's thought to be expert, intelligent. Even if he's stepping on people for that, they don't care. They'll take it, oh, intelligent person. So that is if we see this world as a place for our enjoyment. So, but what is this world? What is it? What is the plan of this world? What is the reality? What is the view? We don't know. We were born and we saw everything. Supposing I enter a room and everything is there in the room. I wonder who built it, who was owning it. I just came inside, if I enter a shop or a building. So that way we were born and we saw this world, okay, but no one is bothering to find out who made it, why it came. So the reality of this world. So the material world, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, is described as a facility and a place where we are supposed to use this body and this place to come to the spiritual level. This is the purpose of this world. Kamasa nendriya priti labo jivata yavata jivasa tattva jigyasa. The jiva has to do tattva jigyasa. That is the goal of this life and of this world. So we have a different idea. Out of ignorance, we're using this world for our enjoyment. But the whole lesson of Bhagavad Gita is that we should dedicate everything to serve the Lord and endeavor to elevate our consciousness and become liberated from material conception. Bhagavad Gita describes this world in 2 ways. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. So many times I give this example. Has anyone known, does anyone know what is a Granthalaya? Huh? Place of study, books. What is Shikshalaya? Place of gaining shiksha, knowledge, school. What is Dukkhalaya? Okay, so Bhagavad Gita describes this material world as Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam, 2 words. Very simply, this is a place of suffering, Gita is saying. And Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means, Shashvat means something is going on. Ashashvat means it keeps changing. Everything is constant flux. Change of government, change of weather, change of policy, everything's continued, change of fashions. For the jiva, this is very disturbing. Actually, we like things to stay as they are. People don't like change. But changes come, and that's very disturbing. This material world has constant change and is place of misery. So one very significant thing about this material world is that we are living in this world, we are suffering, and we are taking birth and dying, and taking birth, this is going on and on again. So now let's look at intelligence with this in context, these points in mind. They say Einstein was very intelligent. He discovered so many things, he came up with whatever he came up. Okay, but he never tried to find the truth of this world. Seriously. He didn't try to find out why he's here, why he's getting old, why he's going to die. We have so many so-called high IQ personalities in this world, intelligent, they own huge business empires or they had great scientific achievements, but they could not or did not try to find the root of the creation and what is the whole purpose of the world. They couldn't do that. Okay? While suffering and getting old and coming close to death, they didn't try to solve it. So why didn't they do this? And then again we have to re-examine the whole point of what we call intelligence. Can we call them intelligent in this way? A person, we may say he has such a high intelligence, but if he's not finding out the cause of suffering, this material world, because we are suffering. And regarding reincarnation, some people may say that's subjective, that's your belief, whatever. But if we analyze it, circumstantial evidence is so clear. People suffering at birth for no purpose of their own in this life. People remembering past lives, which are now in movies. It's entered popular movies, even Western movie, Hollywood also, past lives, and books, novels. It's in English language, reincarnation. So, if people could not or did not try to do that, can we call them intelligent? Intelligence means solving the problem, overcoming difficulty. So they didn't do that. Is that real intelligence? What is intelligence? The ability to learn, this is Merriam-Webster dictionary, the ability to learn or understand things, or to deal with the new or difficult situations. So all intelligent philosophers, scientists, they were somewhat intelligent in their way, but they did not learn about the cause of the creation. Actually, if we start to question, Bhagavad Gita explains that if someone begins to question, someone may say, no, but that was a different time, Vedas were not there, they could not access higher truths. But if anyone questions, definitely the truth will come in some form to them, wherever they are, however they are, whatever situation. So if we live through this whole life and achieve great success, fame, wealth, prestige, knowledge, but then we die and then come back, this is not actually success. You cannot call it success. Back to the beginning. It's like someone builds a big house and then breaks it and then it's gone. Now build it again. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam says this in 5th canto. Rishabdev, who is an incarnation of Krishna, he's speaking to his sons. And in chapter 5, 5th canto, text 5, he says, Para bhavas tavat abodha jata yavan na jigyasata atma tattvam. He said, he's speaking to his sons. He's telling his sons, whatever you achieve in this world, if you didn't realize the absolute truth, atma tattvam, then abodha jata, then you cannot be called a success. So, the definition of intelligence, we analyze it all over again. That the question is that, did these personalities, who we are calling intelligent, did they try to solve the actual problems of life? And if not, can we call this intelligence? In a mundane sense, they may be intelligent to solve some problem, material problem, or to take some resources and give a solution, engineering solution. But actual understanding, if you take the whole absolute truth in context, that somebody who is again coming back and taking birth and did not solve the problem cannot be called intelligent. In other words, as long as one does not come to the point of self-realization, then we are considered a failure in the Vedic viewpoint, according to the Vedas. Whatever else we may have achieved, because we have to start from zero again. This material world is compared to a jail. We heard this many times. So in a jail, somebody who's thinking, look, I'm in this jail, and that in that cell, they're getting chapatis, I'm not getting, and here they're allowed to walk around, I'm not allowed, I must come to that jail. Why am I in this jail? That's not intelligent. Intelligence is get out of the jail. Come out of there. But if we're using intelligence to improve our material situation, then in a deeper, holistic view of intelligence, that's not intelligence. Come out of material existence. This is the greatest intelligence. Such that Srimad Bhagavatam says that in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma will descend, the system, how to come out of material suffering. And then it says in the last, in that there's a long verse, it says, Yajantihi sumedashaha. Medha means buddhi, intelligence. So, in the Bhagavad it says, in Kali Yuga, there'll be a lot of suffering, a lot of chaos, tragedy. But it says, but intelligent people will take to the Sankirtan movement. It says, Yajanti Yagne Sankirtane Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasha, that all the intelligent people of the planet, they will take to this path. So the Vedic viewpoint of intelligence is totally different than what we are thinking. One who endeavors to come out of the material suffering. So that's ultimate solution. And in a material world, one who's endeavoring to understand creation, how we came, he's intelligent. So now Srila Prabhupada speaks about how people consider, in one quote, I'll read it out now, how people consider the scientists as most intelligent. But he says that, but they didn't endeavor to stop death or overcome suffering. Okay, I'll read this quote. Prabhupada says in lecture on Bhagavad Gita in 1967, just 2 years after he arrived in America. Buddhi means intelligence. What is that intelligence? Real intelligence. Real intelligence is to know, to understand that Krishna is supreme, I am part and parcel. It's stated here that intelligence means Sukarta Vivechana Samatyam. Suppose one is very intelligent in driving or fixing a car, he said that's not intelligence. That is material intelligence for earning bread. But real intelligence, Sukha Artha, the finer sentiment is to understand the fine activities of this nature. This is called Buddhi, to understand how things are happening. Grossly seeing, that is not intelligence. Grossly means I'm judging something just by seeing. That's not enough. One has to see the root, the underlying cause. So I'm looking at this world, what I see is not really what it is. Now what is behind it? How is it moving? Who's judging? Who's giving the karmic results? Who's making people suffer? So this is the deeper understanding. Now, someone who sees that, that is intelligence. That means they have a proper vision of what it is, therefore they can solve the problems. So Prabhupada explains, this training should be given. Everyone is intelligent. That I've already explained. Everyone has got a brain, but he does not use it properly. That is wanted, that is education. You cannot teach a stone how to manufacture this microphone. That is not possible, because he has no intelligence. Even if one is dull-brained, you can teach him by education how to manufacture this microphone. So intelligence is there, every living entity. Now, to train them how to utilize intelligence, this is real intelligence. So one who is fortunate, he becomes trained up in intelligence, how to go back home, back to Godhead. And one who is not fortunate, his intelligence is used to go to hell, that's all. That is dushkatina, to become a member of the hellish condition of life. So he's explaining. So now, in conclusion, there is intelligence. People aspire to have good intelligence. When we see someone who's intelligent, it's glorified. We have societies of theirs also. But real intelligence is spiritual intelligence in two ways. Why am I saying this? In two parts. Number one, because one who is linked to Krishna in yoga, he gets super deeper intelligence. That's number one. Second, spiritual intelligence is real intelligence in the sense that one who has a spiritual vision of things and how things are functioning, he will live in a different way. He will endeavor to become liberated. So in that way, he has a deeper intelligence and a more thorough holistic intelligence, how to function in this form. How to attain spiritual intelligence? We mentioned the hierarchy. What is at the lower level?
The senses.
And below the senses was dull body. Okay, then senses, then mind and intelligence, then soul. Okay, now a person who is in spiritual consciousness, there is one more thing about the soul. What is that?
Krishna.
Super soul, which is here. It takes direct control of your intelligence, your mind and your senses, and therefore you get super intelligence. So how to get spiritual high intelligence? One has to reach a state of yoga, Krishna consciousness. Read Bhagavad Gita and develop a vision for living life through Bhagavad Gita and seeing through Bhagavad Gita. This is spiritual intelligence, spiritual vision. It's called Shastra Chakshu. If we see through this way, then that is higher spiritual intelligence. Also, we have to become a devotee. Devotee means I dedicate my senses, mind, intelligence to serving God. In that way, he takes control and we are picked up off the material level. We get higher capabilities for serving. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, any questions? Any question? Yes.
The basis of intelligence is truth, right? First of all, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The basis of intelligence is truth, right?
Truth.
Yes.
Okay.
When you see any object or any form as it is, get intelligence. That is the awareness of what's around you. So Krishna himself says that I am the source of all material and spiritual manifestations.
Yeah.
Everything rests within me. So real intelligence is understanding that everything around you is an aspect of Krishna himself.
Yeah.
So what the material personalities call intelligence, it's basically a perception of their own senses.
Their own perception, yeah.
Also, on the basis of what I said earlier, why is it that we create the image of a material world and a spiritual world when everything in reality is Krishna himself?
Okay, so one comment he made and a question. The comment is that he said that intelligence is what people see and what they make sense. In that context, they're intelligent, they may be able to figure things out in that way. Yeah, that is true. That was a comment you made. Yeah, so it's a fact. Within their context, they'll be intelligent in that way. Okay. Now, second part is that why are we dividing things into material and spiritual world when everything is from Krishna, everything is His. Actually, it's a fact that in the Shastra it says, Sarvam Kal Vidam Brahma, which means everything is Brahman, everything is spiritual, but it's my vision. You see, my consciousness, I will use something and see it in one way. One common example I give, Prabhupada gave this very good example, that how, say, if there's a young girl, now how a young boy sees that girl will be different, how the lion sees that girl will be different. Something to eat, the lion will think. And so everyone will see according to their consciousness. So, one who is on a conditioned state, he'll make a distinction between spiritual and material. Reality is, everything is Sarvam Kal Vidam Brahm, everything is spiritual. That's the reality. But we are not on that level, but we understand it. For a pure devotee, there's no limit. There's no, Srila Prabhupada, he would walk around here, he will go to Goloka, it's the same thing. He's not under Guna, Maya. It's a fact. Hare Krishna.
So what the conditioned soul thinks of his intelligence is actually a perception of the soul desires.
Yeah, what the conditioned soul thinks of intelligence, that is his, that his own kind of perception, his reality. And then at a level you can accept it, but if we go deep on a higher level, then we see that actual intelligence means we have to have that whole holistic vision of what is the whole creation. I didn't get a question from you, Piyush. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Or you can ask me later. All right. Yes, Arvind.
You said real intelligence is when we ask the fundamental questions of life, right? And then we try to find the answer.
No, I'll reword it. Real intelligence is when we do everything in context, understanding that we are not, this is not the reality, we are in a suffering condition, we have to overcome that. Okay.
Because I was asking in context of non-Vedic philosophers, they also ask this question whether it's Aristotle and all, but they don't give the exact Vedic answer, but it's somewhat in relation.
Actually, Socrates accepted the soul.
Yeah.
So he accepted that. Questioning, if they give that question, I'll not make distinction on Veda also. If they question that, absolute reality, they're seeking it and not accepting this temporary reality, I would say that is good, intelligent. They may not have had access to the Vedas, but they question.
But not enough intelligence to liberate.
Yeah, then again, if someone, you see, that is not only intelligence, that is mercy. What Krishna reveals. The same Gita, someone will read and get realized, another person will read and say, what is this, I can't understand it. In one level, it's mercy also, but if you come to the point of questioning and doubt, and wanting to come to the root, I would say that's high intelligence. Actually coming to liberation, that is mercy and endeavor, two things are required. I think, what's the last
form of knowledge is intelligence.
Intelligence would be, that spiritual intelligence is actual vision, actually doing whatever you're doing and seeing in a way, understanding that this is not the reality, there's something beyond, in a deeper way. For example, seeing that I am in this world, I don't have food, I have to sort out my food, clothing and shelter. So someone will think I have to sort this out, and the best way I can do this is intelligent. But a devotee will think, yes, I'll solve that, but I've got to solve the problem of this material life also. So he's endeavoring for that and this, but he's giving emphasis that I have to get liberated. And that Supreme Lord, He'll take care of my necessities. Why won't He? The same action from a devotee and a non-devotee point of view. Yeah.
Krishna himself said that all the living souls are internal parts of my consciousness. it says at the same time that this material world is temporary and full of suffering.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of this whole thing, at the beginning of this cosmos, what is the root purpose that Krishna manifested this particular world? If the souls by their nature are internal parts of the soul consciousness.
Okay, the question is that Krishna says all souls are part of me, but he manifested this material world, and jivas are here. So why did he manifest? That's the question. The material world.
Yes.
Okay. Now that is Prabhupada answered this question. Like when someone asked him, Prabhupada said that, for example, someone may ask the government, "Oh look, see, we are all citizens. Why are you building this jail to put some people in the jail? We are all citizens of the country. We can live outside. Why do we have to live in the jail?" But that's because some people will do sinful activities, crimes, so they'll go to the jail. But government doesn't want to build it. And you know some people will be like that. So similarly, there are some jivas who won't worship Krishna, who want to, that goes against the purpose of this manifestation, creation. Therefore, he builds a material world where they can fulfill their material desires without disturbing the pastimes of Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop there. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay, just some announcement.